Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, and that means it is time for another rambling, where we discuss, dissect, and just plain try not to diss various levels of pop culture entertainment fun. Yep, that's right. We are your positivity no matter what else is going on in the world. We're going to talk about stuff that's going to bring enjoyment and entertainment. So with that in mind, we're going to go back to the past, back to not just the 2000s, not even the 90s, we are going back to the 80s. The 80s, which is where I started, because I'm an old man. All you young whippersnappers, what do you know about the 80s? Bunch of YouTube playlists. I'm going to get a cane and shake it at you. Now, let's be honest here. We're not even going back to the 80s. We're going back to 1980. Because if there's one thing long-time viewers of the vlogs know about me, it is that I am a huge fan of the Ghostbusters. No. We're not going to discuss the Ghostbusters today. But it is the segue. Because you see, Ghostbusters was one of multiple films made in the 80s featuring Bill Murray in collaboration with Harold Ramis. Now, while Harold Ramis was an excellent actor, as shown not just in the two Ghostbusters movies, but in other Bill Murray starring pieces like Stripes. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Shh, it's build up. He was primarily known as a writer and occasional director, especially of comedies. Now, what this means is that just because you don't see him on camera does not mean that his loving touch is not all over a movie. And that's what we're going to discuss today. The first movie Harold Ramis directed, not the first he wrote, but the first he directed, which is important, and that is the iconic sports comedy Caddyshack. Now, besides the aforementioned Bill Murray, Caddyshack also stars Rodney Dangerfield, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray's brother Brian Doyle Murray, who starred in a lot of stuff with Bill Murray, because they were brothers that got along, and several other great actors and actresses, including Ted Knight, Michael O'Keefe, and just too many people to name. Mostly because I don't want to be here all day going over the cast and their resumes. We do like to keep these videos relatively short and very sweet. So, what's Caddyshack all about? Well, like a lot of good movies, it has two ongoing simultaneous plots. The first plot, which centers around Rodney Dangerfield, is that he is a self-made success who still has a lot of rough around the edges, lowbrow humor and personality to him. And when he manages to get a short-term guest pass to a prestigious country club, promptly hits head on country club leader and big influencer. Blah blah. Hold on, let me make sure I get this. Pronounce my names right here, folks. Judge Smales. Not Smalls, not Snails, Smales. Say that 5 times fast. This being our aforementioned buddy Ted Knight. Judge Smales does everything he can to try to drive off Rodney Dangerfield's character of Al Cervic, who, after annoying the judge on several occasions, finally points out that when it's all said and done, he was not hanging out at the country club to try to seek permanent membership, but as a land developer, he was looking to purchase the club, most likely to put some big buildings on it he can make some real money off of, because in his mind, if that land ain't got a building you can sell to somebody on it, it's wasted land. Now, while that does give Rodney Dangerfield kind of a self-centered jerk motivation, compared to Judge Smales and his lackeys at the club, Rodney, or Al as the character is called, is still very much lovable in his offensive, rude, crude way. And when it's all said and done, is a lot more open-minded to enjoying people from various levels and classes of society than the judge. How appropriate. Somebody close-minded and constantly turning his nose down at people is a judge. It's almost like his personality and occupation were combined to make a sort of literary joke. Tricky, tricky, Harold. I see what you're doing there. Now, while all that is going on, we also have the story of Danny Noonan, a high schooler who works as a Caddyshack, dates the young lady who works at the snack bar, as well as doing some waitressing or food service work. I guess would be the non-gender specific version of that phrase. But you know what? It's 1980. Waitressing on the side for some money. Well, he tries to save up for college, avoid getting in fights with some of the other caddies, and ultimately stave off the wrath of his boss, the aforementioned Brian Doyle Murray. Yep. The caddies, they smoke, they drink, and they generally try not to overly annoy the club members while still being teenagers who really, at the end of the day, only care about making just enough money that they can have some fun after hours. Because, again, they're teenagers. How many of us were all that responsible when we were in high school? That's what high school's for. So, how does all this interact and mix up together? Well, it's very simple. See, Danny, while he does have a good woman on his side, he's still a horny teenager. And when Judge Smales' niece comes floating into town, and she is a smoking hottie, he finds his gaze wandering. And in the process of trying to woo her, draws a bit of the judge's wrath himself. all of this culminates when push comes to shove. There's a big golf game at the end with high stakes, and Danny and Al find themselves teaming up along with the mentorship of country club co-owner Chevy Chase, whose character name is Ty Webb, who provides the low-key silly comedy as Ty is one of those classic 80s figures of the rich guy who thinks he's super philosophical and deep. And truth be told, he may just be a little crazy. But wait, we didn't mention Bill Murray in this. I thought you said Bill Murray starred in this movie. He does. Bill Murray is the assistant groundskeeper and thus finds himself interacting with the entire cast while simultaneously trying to outfox, outsmart, and outhunt a gopher who is set up on the golf course, or rather underneath it. So, what makes Caddyshack such an iconic classic? Well, a lot of it is the comedic brilliance of that core cast. This was the first film where Rodney Dangerfield really got to show his chops and started establishing himself as a full-blown actor after a successful career in stand-up comedy. Chevy Chase is a little snarky, a little disconnected from things around him, and occasionally befuddled, i.e., Chevy Chase at his comedic best. Low-key, witty, but always got just that little bit of smart-ass edge to him. A man that always has a one-liner and a zinger no matter what the situation. And of course you have Bill Murray just plain being a goofball. And mix it all together with a great supporting cast. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of laughs. But more importantly than that is that both stories are driven by something that everybody can relate to. Old money versus new money. Just because everybody's rich doesn't mean they're going to get along. You have the story of Danny who finds himself realizing that living his life by his short-term impulses and desires may get him into trouble, and if he's not careful, it may cost him the love of the good woman for the sake of bragging about romping with the super beautiful one. And don't get me wrong, his girlfriend, Maggie, she's highly cute in her own way. Let me just go ahead and double check. Maggie, played by Sarah Holcomb, who would figure into a few other films of the time. Yeah, not a super lot of stuff. She had a short career, but what she did was very iconic. But still, as I said, props to everybody involved. The movie is, in many ways, a perfect 80s comedy. You have some pratfall nonsense from characters like Bill Murray. You have sardonic wit. You have crude humor. I mean, come on. The candy bar at the bottom of the pool scene, that is Hollywood legend. Look that scene up alone if you don't want to, power through the whole movie today. just go ahead as soon as my video is over and go look up that clip. It set the standard for most sports comedies, establishing a formula of plucky underdogs versus establishment, played through the metaphor of a competitive sport, along with your good-hearted mentors, such as the aforementioned Ty Webb, who really just wants everybody to get along and enjoy a good game of golf. And of course, romantic interests, as besides Danny's double skirt chasing, Ty himself has a few minutes to spare for a lovely lady closer to his own age. And when it's all said and done, a lot of ways you have a perfect comedy. It's all led by Harold Ramis's directing, which really is beautiful. You know, he did some of the great comedies of the 80s. If not always as a director, as a writer. And his behind-the-scenes work has an almost unique feel to it. It's like if you start watching Harold Ramis written stuff and the kind of humor he likes to use, which, you know, all things considered by today's standards would be extremely family friendly. Yes, by the nature of the aforementioned skirt chasing and occasional lusty feels, there's some sexual content. It's almost all talk and implication that it wouldn't be for the super young kids in the crowd, but compared to a lot of what's considered crude humor now, Rodney Dangerfield's cutting remarks are tame. Hilarious, but tame. This is the kind of movie you could watch with your children once they hit that tween age. And speaking of the writing, that is the thing that most benefits a movie where one of the two main plots does center around a high school boy, and that is the teenagers act like teenagers. They scrap and fight over stupid stuff. They have rivalries. You have the super pretty girl who just kind of strides in and immediately commands all the attention versus the, you know, perfectly cute, very nice and loyal girl who finds herself questioning her own physical appeal on some subtle levels. I mean, be honest, how many times in the 80s and 90s did you see that formula of the hot cheerleader versus the cute bookworm girl? Caddyshack hit it perfectly early on without it being a major plot element because, you know, it didn't need to be. It was a sub-story that drove some great scenes. And when it's all said and done, if nothing else, the fact that Judge Smales is a cheap, short-tempered, closed-minded jerkwad who routinely has karma come around town and smack him means you can get some great schadenfreude laughs out of the movie. This is one of those movies that I don't know if I would necessarily put in my top 5, but is definitely a, hey, gotta watch it at least every couple years. Maybe once a year if it's really, you're really into the sports comedies, because there's very few that do it better than this. Heck, it even managed a sequel. Unfortunately, Chevy Chase was the only person that came back. As far as cast members go, And the comedy doesn't hit quite nearly as well. But they did their best with it. We won't get too deep into Caddyshack 2 because, as I said, we are enjoyment and positivity. Still, look for Caddyshack on your favorite streaming services. Give it a watch through if you've never seen it before. Especially if you are fan of the great comedians I keep name dropping throughout this review. Chevy, Bill, Rodney. If you like other Harold Ramis directed stuff, directed and or written, like Animal House, the aforementioned Ghostbusters, Stripes, Meatballs, then give Caddyshack a go, because if you like those other movies, this one will definitely be right up your alley. There's a lot worse ways to spend your evening. There's a lot worse movies you can watch snuggled up with a loved one. And when it's all said and done, you disagree? Great. Jump in the comments of this video and let me know. I'll be happy to hear why this movie didn't click for you, as long as you follow the only real rule we have on the ramblings, which is make it constructive criticism that you are stating because you're willing to have a debate. Not an argument, not a shouting match, but a discussion of opposing viewpoints where everybody, no matter if minds are changed or not, respects each other when it's all said and done. You give this movie a first watch through and you love it, let me know in the comments. That's what we're here for at the Ramblings, to help people find new ways to entertain and enjoy their lives. So if it works for you, it works for me, and I want to know that. So, come back in 7. We're going to have some other discussions for you. We're going to keep rambling, because no matter what, the real world can always take a break. And you always need a break. Because I know my viewers have earned it. Because since you're watching this channel, you're clearly a good person. So enjoy this break. We'll bring it to you every Friday. Check out the game streams on Tuesday. And coming soon, a few other things that our partner here at Roulette Production and I are bringing. Don't want to get too specific until I have precise information and potentially links for you. But we are continuing to expand what we do here at Roulette Productions. Keep an eye out in the comment threads. Keep a listen out for when I do my advertising of other projects at the end of these videos, like I'm doing right now. And more importantly, feel free to follow me at Twitter at David Horridon. Because if I do anything on Twitter, and it's about the only thing I do on there, it is let you know when I have new content dropping. Doomp. In the meantime, in between time, go watch Caddyshack. Oh, one more thing I gotta mention about the movie. Woo! Can't believe I almost messed this one up. We also got a kickin' soundtrack done just about completely by 80s icon Kenny Loggins. The iconic I'm Alright, which is the main theme from Caddyshack, along with a few other songs. And if you get tired of Kenny Loggins, we've got a little bit of Journey for you. Any way you want it, that's the way we do. Any way you want it. We do like our K-Log, though. So, Kenny, as I said, you got the lead there with the main movie theme. I'm alright. Don't nobody worry about me. And with that, I promise I'm actually saying goodbye this time, because I'm alright, you're alright, and I'm confident when I come back in 7, we're both still going to be alright. Look at that. Peace. Victory. I poke. Later, taters.